The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. History is repeating itself, but this time, the hunters have become the hunted. For too long, those who seek to destabilize our lands have used the vast borders of the Sahel as their playground, moving like shadows to bring pain to our people. But the narrative has shifted. Today, we are talking about a decisive strike where the invisible hand of the enemy was met with an iron fist. Please, if you haven't subscribed, this is the latest Dodging One. Subscribe. From the reports coming out of the front lines, the Russian African Corps and the Malian Armed Forces, FAMA, have just sent a message that will echo from Bamako to the west. This is the story of how a major T-group blockade was not only broken, but utterly wiped out on the road to the Mauritanian border. It started with an ultimatum. The T-groups, thinking they still held the power to paralyze our movement, gave a 48-hour deadline. They wanted to impose a total blockade, cutting off supply lines, and isolating our communities. They moved in silence, gathering a massive force to choke the rules. But they forgot one thing. The eyes of the lion are now everywhere. Russia never disappoints. On May 1, 2026, a massive column was spotted. We are talking about an army of over 200 motorbikes. The preferred vehicles of these desert ghosts heading with speed towards Mauritanian border. They weren't just moving, they were preparing to lock down the frontier. But they never made it. The Russian African Corps, working in perfect coordination with the Malian air and ground assets, did not wait for the 48 hours to expire. They launched a reconnaissance offensive that turned into a total whiteout. Before the T could set their blockade, they were overtaken. Russia has said they will never abandon Africa. The results of this counter are catastrophic for the insurgents. According to the latest figures, 200 assailants neutralized. The all of the fighting force was wiped out on the spot. The boss eliminated.
From the east to the west of the center. Good morning, good evening. Under the scorching sun, surrounded by my trees and proud of my nature, brother in my environment, I had to read to you what Africa COPS means. That is, the Russian Army, African version. What it is announcing today, what I can tell you is that the jihadists, that is to say, the small hand of a Western imperialist, colonialist regime, and all are having a hard time leaving. They announced the blockade 48 hours ago today. 48 hours. No. 36 hours. Can we say that? No. 48 hours ago today. The disappearance of the blockades raises many questions. They announced, they're not the ones who announce it the most. It is the French media who announce it the most, because they are the ones who relay information about the terrorists in Mali. So, Africa COPS announced that it had dealt a major blow to an armed terrorist group in a border area with Mauritania. And we know that as soon as we talk about it all, we are talking about the FLA, because it is the FLA. So the boss has been announced, eliminated. There you have it, eliminated. And if you want, I will put his image again. There you have it. So on the combatant side, 150 combatants were killed, around 70 motorcycles destroyed, and armed pickups wiped out during an airstrike carried out on Friday, May 1st. So yesterday, according to the official press release, the operation was launched after a reconnaissance mission that identified a large group of around 200 men traveling on nearly 150 motorcycles. The convoy was also escorted by several vehicles equipped with heavy weapons, including a large-caliber machine gun and a Zu-23 anti-aircraft system. They are armed, huh? Not bad, huh? According to the same source, Wiki, the group is said to have crossed the Mauritanian border towards Mali to reinforce armed cells already active on Malian territory, weakened by recent operational losses. The Africa Corps Air Force, affiliated with the armed forces of the Russian Federation, then allegedly carried out a targeted bombing of the identified camp, inflicting heavy human and material damage. The press release emphasizes that armed groups present in the airspace frequently use weakly controlled areas in neighboring countries to reorganize, resupply, and rebuild their logistical capacities. In response to the recent coordinated attacks on military positions in Mali, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stated that Russia would continue its efforts against extremism and terrorism, including on Malian territory. Well, my dear brothers and sisters, we're telling you why Africa Corps is communicating. Yes, the Russians are communicating because, in fact, we mustn't leave disinformation to the mainstream media and the Quai d'Orsay, because they tried to sabotage the Russian forces by saying that they were incapable, that they were infiltrated. It's even said that they collaborated with the jihadists and everything else. So that annoyed them. When I say angry, it really annoyed them. And the Russians don't joke about their image. So they decided to communicate about their actions, and to hit harder, to show that when we talk about Russia, when the West, especially France, speaks, Russia must wear gloves. It must speak with respect. There you go, guys. Don't joke around. Hey, they're shooting and they're rampaging and press, and you know the Russians know how to do it when they get angry, because by saying and spreading false propaganda against Russian Africa, you've woken up the sleeping Russian Africa. You've woken up the sleeping Russian bear, and this bear will show Mali and the AES that no, we can trust them. And as for the terrorists who cross Mauritania and the rotten borders, I told you, I remain faithful to my principles, to my thinking. What I think is that the AES in Mali, in particular, must force themselves, must form cells, or must form a kind of Mossad. Now, that'll reduce the cost of the war against the Terror by at least 80%. That is to say, form specialized groups to go and terrorize the terrorists in their bases, wherever they are, and in any country. Because the Mauritanians know very well, it's through them that they get their supplies. The equipment comes from them. They are the ones who let the groups form. And I was even told that there is a group that recruits as far away as Ethiopia. They go everywhere in African areas like that to recruit people from the lower classes, people in extreme poverty. There you have it. They promise them nothing but wonders, and they throw it out there like that. Because numbers do matter. Yes, numbers do matter because beyond numbers, intelligence can operate calmly, while numbers are the focus, which confuses us. So that's the situation on May 2 in Mali during the day.
Reports indicate that their leader, the one coordinating this border infiltration, has been neutralized. Whether they try to hide or run, the precision of the strikes left no room for escape. 150 dead in the aftermath. As the dust settled, the number of confirmed neutralized T groups rose to 150, marking one of the deadliest days for the insurgents group this year. This wasn't just about the men, it was about their mobility. Over 70 motorbikes were induced to scrap metal, and 4 heavy pickers, the mobile platform they use for their heavy equipment, were completely incinerated. The reason to which we're having this information is because this is how they have been doing it, trying to use the geography of our own land against us. But the frontline narrative today is about precision. They expected a slow response, but they met a lightning strike. By catching them on the road to the border, the authorities prevented these groups from melting into neighboring territory to regroup. The 48-hour threat turned into a 24-hour nightmare for the plotters. The road to the border is no longer a safe haven for those who wish us harm. Russia has made it clear they will never abandon us, like France and its news outlets are spreading false information, how they ran, how they abandoned, how they negotiated. These are some of the things that always they do to make you, the African, lose hope and trust in the people that are here to help us. And one thing that always saddens my heart is we, the African, who are crying for freedom, crying for salvation, to be the ones that whenever they put out this propaganda, using our platforms to help them spread what they have said without us researching or waiting to find out the truth about the whole situation. And then we talk about how weak we are with them. And we still have the mentality and the notion that we need the same people who have been with us for over 60 years, haven't done anything good for us, to come back here. But newsflash, Russia is standing tall. FAMA is standing tall. AES is standing tall. And together, Africa will be free. We will never bow down to oppression. And the message is simple. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Mali.